All right, ladies and gentlemen, we back here under the COVID-19. We're dealing with this issue. We liberate the caged voices, liberate our elders. And we're dealing with this issue head on. I'm going to give you a little background about what we're doing with our campaign to liberate our tortured class. So throughout 2016, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDC small r, was forced to release approximately 2,000 plus prisoners from indefinite solitary confinement. This victory came as a result of prisoners' heroic effort in the unprecedented solidarity of the 2011-2013 hunger strike and the Oscar class actions lawsuit. Satawa Natambu Jama, Arturo Castellanos, Anthony Gillian, and Todd Oscar emerged as principal thinkers and representatives of California prisoners. They authored and signed a historic 2012 agreement to end hostilities, AEH, across racial, ethnic, and geographical lines. Prisoners wrote Satawa changed the face of race relations without any help from CDC small r. The spirit of prisoners creating their own new human relationships continue in what they now call an international prison human rights movement. CDC not only fails to recognize their contribution, but systematically has retaliated against them since they were released to the prison general population. Though CDC small r can no longer use confidential information to keep prisoners in solitary confinement, they continue to corrupt abuse of its prisoners against one each other, which we call conquer and divide, when they create false information for the parole board to deny parole and undermine the agreement to end hostilities. So right now, what we have here under this COVID, we talking about those class prisoners, those that's being subjected to solitary confinement for over 10, 15, maybe 20, 30, 40 years. And a lot of these men are medically vulnerable, and some have compromised medical conditions because of their previous health post-COVID. So now that we're dealing with this COVID, we talking about liberate our elders, and a lot of our elders, our particular class, are seen as political prisoners, and California don't want to recognize these men for the work that they've been doing. So I have one of my elders here today, and I'd like to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to somebody just phenomenal. And when you hear his name and he introduces himself, you know it's serious, because he don't do this for everybody. So I'm honored and I'm pleased. So I want you to express your name today. We're here at California Prison Focus, Cage Universal.
Yes, sir. Greetings, brother. My name is Michael Cooperwood. Most of the people know me as Mutawally, Joseph Cambone. I am one of the elder class. I am part of the elder class that have experienced and looked through the struggles of what everything the brother articulated so perfectly well. You understand? I want to thank you and the fellow brothers that is bringing this consciousness to the people about our struggles, you know, and believe me, they have their struggles. And so with that, I would say power to you and the people, you know.
Highly appreciate it. Highly appreciate it. And so I want to ask you, as it correlates to COVID, and we want to talk about it directly to COVID regarding the fear and the complaints. So my first question is to ask you, what has changed since the COVID outbreak?
Well, the COVID outbreak, like any outbreak in these prisons, we seek to understand exactly what's taking place. Now, our mental and psychological effect that the COVID virus been having on the world has been 100 times up and down here in these small sections, these prisons, and like those out on the street, this COVID virus is so close up on us. So psychologically, mentally, it keeps us on guard. So fellas, the prison public, are doing different things to guard against it. Because the CDCR and the medical department is not issuing us or giving us information to guard against it. You know, just recently, we were given some masks to put over our faces, and these masks are actually made from a strong material that actually slows our breathing down, especially those that have asthma, etc. So we attempt to wear these masks that they issue us, and they're not doing no effect. We attempted to force social distance, but it's very difficult in environments like this. You know, we have this recycled air coming out these vents, and these vents is causing some of us to catch colds and fleas, and you know, it's hard for us to guard against it, but it's definitely making a paranoid on a lot of issues. But that's basically what's taking place.
So you saying like if you had organizations that was fighting against toxic prisons, and then they could easily come and see the vents is dirty. They could easily come see that the showers is dirty. That it just it adds on to the cruelty of the inhumane conditions.
There's no doubt about it. The atmosphere has always been a cool and unusual type of atmosphere for COVID. But this COVID virus, there's no way, there's nothing that the medical staff has offered to us. So those that do get sick become even super paranoid because they have no way of testing. I don't even know one COVID that's been offered any testing, or even those elders that have some type of ailment have been tracked to see if this virus is even with them. They don't even offer us testing. None of this. The only thing we have gotten from the CDCR and the medical staff here is a mask. Now, some of the officers have started wearing masks, but most of them don't. Even today, they serve us our food with no masks on. They have quarantine put it in smaller groups. But they did that again, slammed us for the last month. We've been on lockdown. And during these lockdowns, the officers will leave the building and they'll go out and have barbecues on the side of the gym. They'll bring the barbecue grill and they'll stand there and have lunch and whatever. And all they do is hang out on the yard all day. It's been going on for the last month or so under the banner that there's some racial tension between black and white, which was false. So they quarantined us, then turned around and slammed us. So we were on extra lockdown. We come out, go shower, and then the other issue would be escorted. So if they took you to the doctor to get physical x-rays, let's say, you would be able to see all the officers lined up with no masks and sitting there barbecuing on the grill over there by the side of the building. But that's what he had on day. So we didn't have medical staff coming in to see how we doing and what, you know. And some of the fellas have been feeling ill. And like I say, there's no medical staff, and the staff that do come to pass out pills, you know, and other small medications.
So I know it's people like you, yourself, and others alike. Over the years, you've been fighting to liberate the voices that's being ostracized and stigmatized and censored beyond the walls, and especially being in the tombstones for many years. And many a times, CDC, I have somebody to come from Sacramento or the Ombudsman office, or, you know, who, if you could speak directly, share your opinion with the governor as it relates to COVID and his administration, and especially those who claim to be concerned with public safety, what would your opinion be directly to the officials who could do something?
Okay, first let me say, we give all support and strength to Mutawally and others that started with our struggle from the beginning. I was alone with Mutawally, we was neighbors, and Todd and all others. And up to this point, since they done let us out the hole, I personally did 22 of them in Silicon Bay, isolation with the fellas. Since they let us out the hole, there was many things that they didn't do, and that I would tell the governor, especially in regards to the criteria that was needed for the parole board. They denied us that since 1988, when they decided to take myself and 7 other groups and slam us under this debris parole snitch, debris which is snitching, parole or die policy, and put us in solitary confinement all these years. In 1988, when this policy occurred, they kept us down for at least 10 years, almost 11, before the courts ruled that the police policy and snitch was illegal. And during this 10 years of isolation, the parole board never once allowed anybody in the home to parole. They never once allowed those that was isolated to indulge in so-called rehabilitative programs, self-help programs, accumulate the criteria needed to parole, self-help group, anger management, etc. They never thought these type of programs inside these homes. So once it was proved illegal, the hole was in there for years. The board should have acknowledged that these folks have been in there decades, but instead, the courts ruled and said, well, y'all got maybe a year or so to create a new program to get them action at coming out of the hole. So after this illegal underground policy, they created one called active or inactive. Well, this active or inactive protocol was 6 years of clean time. You would be able to request to the CDC to come out the hole, and they would put you on the main general population. Well, after about 2 times of this being rejected, we get up to 6 years clean. It could be a month before we go to see the committee that the IGI, which was the security force at the time, will come into your cell, and they may find a letter, or they may look for anything, and they're related to your gang activity, as they call it. So that means they deny you a month before you was to go to the classification after being clean for that 6 years, and they deny you another 6 years. So after this went on twice, we realized our doomed situation, and that's when we decided to come together and bring our voice to the people. So now, to make a long story short, after the hunger strikes, this and that, they let us out. But they let us out with no psychological evaluation. We had been subjected under sensory deprivation, social deprivation, all kind of mental different deprivation.
Right.
I got kind of emotional on that deprivation.
No, it's good. It's good, big bro.
The torture that we went through to give me that stagnation. But we never had any psychological evaluation. They put us on a new atmosphere, which is general population. But we had to fight through this. The governor never recognized that. They didn't recognize what the deny you 5 years or so, but we're going to give you action and getting these self-help groups so you can get the criteria to come to the board. But this is what I argue about being illegal, because the board gave us a possibility, especially elders. And what happened was, this possibility is turned into life without parole. That's a death sentence for us that's been under this banner that we have a possibility of getting home. So most of our time, like I said, I was 22 years in solitary confinement. Most of our time has been spent inside the home. So now when we come out, we got to fulfill this so-called board protocol of getting these self-help groups. Now, some of us have achieved that, but the elders were constantly getting over. And this cruel and unusual punishment is still going today. So I will try to get the governor to understand that this board needs to be, I hate to use the word reform, because reform always seems to be further torture for us. But the governor needs to say this class of elders that is now being subjected to this coronavirus, that is now been through all these different types of changes and holding this banner up about the possibility of coming home. He should allow us to come home with no preconditions. Our preconditions should be, or the preconditions would only be to be progressive and positive to the black community or to the white community or to the community we come from. You see, and the only way we believe, the elders, especially me, I believe the only way we would get parole is through the voice of the people in the community. And it's correct. We have been progressive. Most of us been progressive, standing for cat on these main lines. We have used our influence for positive, progressive reasons. You mentioned about the end of hostility. The hostility platform was designed for the prison, in the outside, in the county jail. Well, it's our voices that we draw to those that didn't have contradictions amongst each other. It's us that is resolving this stuff through our influences. And I know physically in the community, we would be able to do that 100 times more on the progressive side.
So I take it because my next, I like how you led on to that, and it just let me know the importance of our elders being out here in society, because you answered my question without me asking it, and it's important to highlight that, because you guys already got a particular school of thought that can help cultivate the young out here, the youngsters. So the question was, has COVID awakening that old convict code and brung more unity and solidarity among the prisoners, or has it brung separation because of inferiorness and paranoia? Have you seen people being paranoid or afraid to talk out because of COVID, or scared to be talk out because of reprisals or anything?
But remember, there is much strength in prison. That's what people usually straighten their backs up and become conscious of what's really going on. And the conscious class understand that when any danger is around, and COVID is a clear case of death. We have over 1 million some people around the world that is with this virus. We got in America, we got over. I'm just throwing out a count because I've watched the news and I have watched it, because it only adds to the paranoia when you hear about your state and your city or your town, people dying, numbers like that. Because we know them is our people, them is our mothers and fathers, our uncles and sisters and brothers, And when we see the numbers obviously make us paranoid and make convicts of consciousness wanting to do something progressive to counter this. But they see if this stuff is caving in on us, See, when we look at the medical staff here in the CDCR, and we see they're not giving us information on purpose. They're not telling us about social distance or what the distance are. They're not telling us about how this stuff can be spread. Then we look on the news and we see stuff like the gun shop is selling out of their guns and this and that. We know it's a paranoia there. So when we start analyzing these facts, what we do is try to come up with a positive. Hold on 1 second. Big count. So when we see this, we know that this coronavirus is a serious thing. So naturally it makes us paranoid. But remember, we come from the struggling elder class. So although we are being subjected to this type of environment, we try to vanguard ourselves against catching this thing. And we have to keep the people mellow. I done seen a few links where different prisons have took the initiative to take control. Well, that can actually happen in these prisons from this paranoia. And some loved ones dying on the streets and people getting sick in here. So what we strive to do is keep people informed and build up the defense of guarding ourselves against this coronavirus. Now, personally, I mentioned there's no vaccine, there's no medication, there's no screening, there's no testing. So all we doing is being here. Excuse me a second. All we doing is being in here. So what we have done through our research is found a method that we pray and hope and work that works for us. What we done is heat up a coffee pot and we put orange peeling for a scent relief in it. We let the coffee pot boil hot. And when it boils hot, we take a towel and put it over our head and we take our nostrils and we inhale and let that steam and heat flow in our nostrils. Because through our study, we have learned that this coronavirus gets in your nostrils and the cold part of your nostrils. And if it incubates in your nostrils for 2 weeks or more, it can grow into the virus and go in and choke your lungs and kill you. So if it's in your nostrils, deep in your nostrils, then the heat supposed to break that cold space up and clean your nostrils. So it protects you from that. It's supposed to kill the virus. This is not facts because I'm not a doctor. But when we have to be, that's what we do. We seek. So even if it's not working, it's been a process that I personally, me and others, have do twice a day and 3 times a day. You know, we wash our hands and we do all the other stuff. But this coronavirus is very paranoid.
Let me ask you this real fast because
okay.
Let me ask you this real fast.
Okay, thank you. And so I had to stop and action with somebody coming because, like I mentioned before, these phones are prohibited inside the CDCR, therefore they're illegal. So I understand that, but our emergency causes me to take this risk, to take this chance, and get this to the people. You know. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this real fast because I know many a times when I was just in prison, they used to only give us like 1 bar of soap a month, or sometimes they had inadequate resources. So, we also witnessing because of that. There's a lot of prisons, like in the East Coast, South, whatnot, Rikers Island. There's a lot of prisons that's going up right now that's showing a lot of resistance. So for the papers like California Prison Focus, Bayview, and others alike that's following this story, what kind of resources, what sort of or should I say, what sort of resistance is needed during this crisis? Because we know time is of the essence. So what type of apparatus could we use to combat this type of virus, and we're not having adequate resources from the state? Because we never relied on the state to do what they're supposed to do anyway, because you know they got flagrant policy procedures.
Right. You know, I've been, like I said, our information basically comes from this news, and you know, our news out there actually plays a real misdirected stance, especially for content. So in here, they haven't gave us nothing. Soap, hand soap. They haven't gave us no disinfectant. We get a bar. They give us 2 bars of soap a week, hand soap, one for me, one for my son. They give us no disinfectant. They don't give us nothing to clean the house or to clean our areas. We haven't had no bleach or none of this. So we surviving off 1 bar of soap. This is the real deal. And if we're fortunate, I've been fortunate to make it to the canteen. And when I go to the canteen, I'll buy some laundry soap. And so we use the laundry soap not only for washing our clothes, but we also use it to wash the cells and our hands and all that. But there's nothing they haven't since the coronavirus took place and brought it to our attention. They have not one gave us disinfected or anything to clean the toilets or none of this. All this we're doing here inside this prison on our own.
So let me say this then, because I know a lot of times people don't know how serious it is on the religious land use First Amendment, and I know being in the cell sometime with another individual that's subjected to catching corona or any other disease, your living quarters is only the size of a bathroom, so your living quarters is supposed to be clean at all times, so you don't be subjected to catch hepatitis and whatnot. So you telling me they don't give you no gloves, they don't give you none of this, knowing that it's a bathroom and another man defecating and urinating on the toilet, knowing that you shouldn't even be in the cell with another man anyway. So
that's right.
Wow.
This type of smaller cell. Now I got a study that is diligent about keeping the space clean, cleaning your hands. Sometimes I come off the yard, the first thing he'll do is stand by the door and say, "Hey, come man, wash your hands, man. Hey man, that envelope that police did send in, your letter, write that letter down, take the paper." So we own it, you know.
So y'all taking care of each other.
Hell yeah, we take care of each other. And so he's really forward with that. And that's a good thing for me in him, because we both keep each other sharp on that. But towards the staff, towards the medical staff, oh no, that we not one time have they even introduced it that we have accident testing. There's no testing, so it's difficult to tell if one got it. This is what makes the psychological thing so discombobulated for us in regards to knowing what it is or what's happening. We wasn't prepared, and we're making ourselves prepared as we get bits and pieces of what we should do to guard against it. But the governor, again, I would say to the governor should relieve the majority of these prisoners to the street, and he should reach up. He should start reaching up to those levels that he convinced and tell the public that they're too dangerous to be out in the community. These elders that not only is projected to catch this stuff, but elders that should have been home, they didn't get their time 2 or 3 times, and after being subjected to this torturous behavior, and then let out to the public mainline and they still seem to hold their character. They deemed them as being the most violent and worstest convicts it is. But these convicts that they hit these prison populations haven't caught no violent cases, haven't did nothing that where the system can point to them and say, hey, these cats here is dangerous convicts.
Subjecting them to, because the indeterminate, so you basically saying in a nutshell, because of indeterminate sentences, they subjecting them to a civil death sentence when they half of the population haven't even been sentenced to death row, or even when they got life without, they making it seem like that's the new death row. So let's talk about we move forward with some demands. California Prison Focus sent demands to the governor on the behalf of liberating our torture class, our elders. So, say for example, they start moving forward because CDC had put out this false propaganda that it was going to release 35,000, and it was only for prisoners who was to go home within the next 60 days, quote unquote, non-violent. So, say the elders that they released are those that's having those that subjected to corona with compromised health conditions. Upon release, what sort of tools would you need economically, socially, culturally, and politically? What sort of tools would you need upon returning after 25, 30, 40 years?
Yeah. You know, I always use this game about when I point to our elders, or those that is conscious. Those that is conscious is being tested. And like you know, the toughest are always tested to us. So these cats have maintained their sanity, deep down in the core of their heart, and it functions on a humanitarian level. They got human lives first. This is their mindset. This is the new conscience of the elders. And with this consciousness, I would say that if the person took the most valuable treasure he has out there in the community, he usually put them in a safe, diamonds, golds, or whatnot. With that value, if you want to enjoy that value or whatever, that gold is your elders. They set in these safes. They worth more value. They worth more value to the community when they're shared and brought back into the community. So the elders already have passed the test. They are positive. They are positive people, and they do positive things inside of here and outside. But what happened was the parole board, which is governed by our government, have not stuck to a releasable protocol, and they play the people in the community so vicious that when they look up, they got many excuses why the elders or why prisoners should be in prison. But the only people qualified to turn the tides is those that have went through this system and regained their sanity and do the work that straighten the back of those youngsters and everybody else that come in here. Yes, we do it easily because we know that experience. We know we was once like the youngsters that had a lot of character and no common sense. But what we do is bring common sense to them. We know that they scared this community, and we want to scare the community. So, in our gain and our sanity, we'd be a progressive force to the community because there's not a force out there within our communities now that won't gravitate or listen to the positive words that is coming from those cats that it experienced. We believe the experience he was running. Prison, groups like Prison Focus have been with us and been pushing us for years. And now that we got a new young energy there, you know, that young energy, we believe is bringing our voice to the people. The parole department should be in our inner city. It should be with the pillars of our society. So when you bring back the elders, it's from our church. It's from our community. It's from our business people. It's from our active people. It's from them. Them are the ones that say, we want these cats back to the And we understand what we've done to the community, you see, and we have regained our sanity. We show this through all our struggles. We show this every day when we step out on these prison yards and stop violence and talk to the youngsters and get them off the poison and all this other stuff they're doing. This chaotic stuff shouldn't just be our destiny. Because they put us in here, one more thing, they put us in here under this banner that you have a possibility of parole, but they don't tell the people that that possibility is basically pseudo. That possibility is false because most of your elders have did their time 2 and 3 times over, and they should have been out years ago. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I mean, so from what I get here from what you just stipulated, it clearly stipulates that anybody can see from the agreement to end all hostilities in the program that you, Satawa, others alike established. You guys made it possible because back in the early days, it was hostile. So from the hunger strike until now, prisoners are able to communicate across racial lines because of the agreement and hostilities, what CDCR doesn't want to recognize. So you saying these elders that go from one structure of prison to come parallel out there into society with these same programs, and they go from one structure to the next. So the biggest question now, which I think you already asked it, was, should we establish prisoners' political action communities and community strategic release boards? And I kind of think you touched on that because that's what happens when you have elders missing from their communities. What happens is it become hypermasculinity, a lot of different ideologies, a lot of different worldviews because people don't know themselves. And they haven't studied themselves to know that you don't have to go outside of yourself and be something that you're not. It's all about peace is the new cool. There's nothing wrong with being peaceful, taking care of your kids, taking care of your communities, being part of the church, being part of the mosque, help growing the local businesses, the local farms. So that's what it sounds like from what I get, because you're right. It's up to the community to vanguard to get the elders out here because the elders is the key for the community.
Exactly. The elders always have. Now, this is a greater tool. The elders inside of prison because of their experiences. If they were in the community, all the youngsters that have got our elders, our mothers, our fathers, our nieces, aunties, paranoid to walk down the street. It's the elders in here that overnight can bring all of them together. It don't matter what part of the state they're from. These conscious elders can bring out of it doesn't matter what group of gangs or what group of neighborhoods. We can bring them neighborhoods. We got some progressive things that have turned the tide overnight. And the first tide would be the elders would vanguard the elders. There would be rules about disrespecting our elders, having our mothers scared. When this stuff is in our inner communities because of the phenomenon, because of the situation. And the elders here, we first apologize for the filth that we did doing outside our communities, but we the only ones that can send it. And our pillars of society that knows when a person becomes conscious and focus on these subject matters, they already know the strength of collaborating and getting together. Over the years, we have seen them come out and picket, boycott, do certain things in our neighborhood to eradicate all this chaotic stuff. Well, that science is used here in prison. But if you notice, when a person comes here unconscious, he may have scared the community, but when he steps in prison, he doesn't scare in older youth as well. But they straighten their back up, and when they do touch the communities, they be full of fire like you are. You see, and those others that is toting that positive light. So that's the hope. The pillars of society, our church ministers, our doctors, our lawyers, everybody there now in the city with authority should take control of the parole system around the country. Now, once you take control of the parole system, then you vote who you want back in your neighborhood, your society, and you will know the type of habits, the characters you bring it in back. But we belong to y'all. The community, we are part of y'all. So the only way I believe the elders will be liberated through any system of parole or just judicial system is through the pillars of our society. So the voice must be directed at them. Most of them talk directly to the governor anyway. You see? So this time they must say, man, let us have our brothers and sisters back in these communities. You know, those that is progressive and positive. Why are they doing so much time? That must be our call because they got the power to do that. The governor will release us next week. We shouldn't have to fight against the coronavirus in these small cages and not knowing another form of torture and chaotic stuff so they can get a few extra pieces of silver. You know, we rely on y'all. Most of the elders have lost their families, their loved ones, because they haven't been there. But most of the elders realize that we the ones threw the rock in the river and upset it. So we know that we can't come back to the river and make it calm as it was. But we put our work in to calm that river every day, you know, and we love our community, we love our people. And this is what our consciousness has taught us, especially those that have been isolated in solitary confinement for all these years, like Brother C. Power, Brother Paul Jones, Brother Carter, other brothers that have put in hours and days and it's just their life to do the right thing. There's so many of them, you know.
Okay. So before I ask you this last big question, I'm gonna go back to the earlier question. What would be the most useful information to include in a newspaper like Prison Focus, dealing with this COVID issue and any other issue that's correlated to prison?
Okay, we realize that this coronavirus is a serious thing, and it's so serious that we're watching our people die every day on the street, and we feel a great pain for them. We are them, and the more of these people we hear is our relatives, the more it throws us off balance. Now, the coronavirus was supposed to be. It's the history of this disease was true. It claimed that it was exposed to America in December 19th. Well, December the 2nd, I believe, I buried the second of my youngest brother. And we had him on the ventilator machine. He went through the same thing as if he had coronavirus. But it wasn't known to the public until after we buried him. He caught this in Atlanta. That's where he stayed, in Atlanta. And we had his body brought back here to Oakland, where I'm from, and we buried him there. But I couldn't understand, how could this healthy brother, my second to the youngest brother, how could he all of a sudden die? You know, of this type of thing where he couldn't breathe, and they had to keep putting him on this breathing machine. So I was able to talk to him the night before he died. And he tried to take the machine off, but he was so excited during our dialogue that I heard the machine acting up in the back that they had him hooked up to. And I told him, bro, look, let's slow this down. And put that breathing thing on you, because I couldn't understand it. But I told him I didn't like the way it sounded. And sure enough, the next day, they get in contact and they tell me that he died. Hey, hold on a minute, the staff on the tip. Hold on, bro.
Penitentiary Chances. Live right here. Prison Focus, Cage Universal. We got the resources. 30 years of it. This is real. It's not a game. Collective, community, one voice. How to organize. Get involved, stay involved. Visit prisons.org/action. We waiting for the brothers to come back home. They trying to duck away from the COs. We don't have to duck from the COs to get on the phone. So you have freedom. Or do you? We just sitting here on modified program while they smelling it through the vents. Dirty food trays. Officers not wearing a mask. They ain't passing no gloves to them. 1 bar of soap. No cleanser. Just leaving them in there to die. Because at the end of the day, the guards, they gonna go home. They just gonna go home and they gonna leave them in there. They gonna call in sick. Who gonna take care of them? What we gonna do in this time of crisis? We gonna keep talking? We must make a demand to the government. Pleading and crying and begging. We can't beg them for nothing. They liars. They're not our friends. Our people being down for 20, 30, 40 years. Ain't nothing humane about that. There's nothing humane about life without. There's nothing humane about a person 60, 70 years old being in prison, just sitting there. There's nothing humane about a young man with asthma or a young woman with asthma or hepatitis or any type of medical condition that's allowing them to be subjected to this COVID because they're medically fragile. There's no reason for them to be there. No. Hear the music. When the music change, so does the dance. One dance, Rose. We're still waiting, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reality of prison. When you can make a sandwich and drink fresh water, and DVI, Tracy, they drinking dirty water, they eating bologna sandwiches. When you throwing your food away, they eat scraps, spreads with bologna. And people say, oh, they're prisoners, that's what they get. Look deep before you take a leap. Be on the side of justice. Be on the side of righteousness. We could point the finger and get caught with our hand in the cookie jar but it's about righteousness on the scale. We gotta have the scale balance. Because if the scale isn't balanced, we entertain our lower beasts. Balance. Freedom, justice, and equality for everyone. We might have to put some music on. Is that serious?
Hey, Bob, got it? Hey, my boy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They walk by and count it.
Okay.
They do that at this time. But to reiterate, Prison Focus has been a great support for the people behind the wall, only because they know the story. You know, they know the experience of the people from behind the wall. So, of course, they should be supported in full when they speak from the experience and the voices of the people. All that matters, every one of us back here, you know, that matters. Because the folks that carry our voice and open the doors for us. So we support that 100,000% as well. You know, and the world should hear what we're saying. You know, because we would and have been a positive force. Not only in here, but we do our work that we do in here positive gets to the streets as well in our communities.
Yeah, so I wanted to just tell you real fast before we wrap it up, the Prison Focus is always going to support the elders, the principal thinkers. We're going to support everybody, especially when
Can't stop, won't stop.
Nah,
right.
Can't stop, won't stop, especially when you talk about dealing with human rights violations. You know, this is something that need to go to the UN and go beyond the UN. This is an Eighth Amendment violation. We need all the prison, jailhouse lawyers, all the activists inside and out, the law students, the supportive judges, the supportive DAs, whoever want to get involved on the side of righteousness. This isn't the time where we want to pit each other against each other. This is the time for righteousness. And everything you just said, you right. Prison Focus been around for over 30 years, and it's because of people like you. It's why it's around, because of the stories, and your stories is so powerful, and that's why we bring it out. And I want to thank my brother Stone Sean Ramsey, others alike, and yeah, this is just the beginning. So this is what I want to ask you, and I really want you to respond to me in a profound way that you see. What do freedom mean to you?
Freedom. First, freedom to me means mentally free. Freedom actually represents the opposite of death. And I believe my freedom mentally is achieved already. But I see masses and millions of us that have struggled from the womb to the tomb, especially our younger nation. So they never understood what freedom is, because they come in struggling, whether it's economically or being up under a political atmosphere or a social environment that never allowed them to be free from the beginning. And I believe that freedom of the mind is the first step of being free in the heart, being free, like you said, toward humanity. Start valuing that's from freeing the mind. We find that through our experiences. When we allow our experiences to equal learning. None of us, especially the younger generations now, should have to suffer coming in and create culture groups of their own to say, this is my freedom, my bankroll, or my this, or my that. Freedom should be in your mind and heart. It should be that equal spirit as being a part of that humanity circle. You know, that you got the right to breathe, the right to eat, the right to live. You know, that's freedom. And the freedom out of bondage in so many levels. But on ours, like I say, we got a right to breathe. This coronavirus shouldn't have to choke us to death. You know, we should have the same stuff that can harm us to fight this stuff off. And then putting this pig pen like we don't matter, that's not humanity. So freedom to me is the opposite of death. And dying is what we're doing now. And so many, what we don't have to do. We don't have to suffer all through your life until you fall asleep or fall dead. Freedom is in y'all head. You know, and if we can enjoy that for the next how many years that we're on this planet, then I'm down with that, you know.
Yeah, so I always tell the brothers and sisters to concur with what you just said. I'm an uncaged slave because I ain't free until y'all free. Until all y'all free. You know, so when you talk about the 13th Amendment and all that, we got to abolish it. So I just wanted to say that. I'm going to leave on that note. If you want to tell people something that you just said, what you said was so beautiful, man. And I highly appreciate you for participating in this California Prison Focus Talk-a-zine. And we're gonna utilize this to do an action item, publications, and everything. We're gonna transcribe it into an article. We're gonna put it out there. We're gonna always stand by the truth.
There you go. And if whatever support I can be for to allow freedom to shine like a star in the night on all of us, I'm there. Just call me, you know, and I'm there.
All right, big bro. Shalewa.
Hey, Shalewa. All right. Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
All right.
Band-aids and stitches don't clean a skin road or modify the sentence. Get your dirty ass amendment.